yeah, it's fun to be able to experiment on one weekend do this way, another weekend try move things around and we added some drawers that we didn't get originally, and that kind of, you can always mix things up. It's
Yeah,
not
plug and play.
Yeah, it's not like you design it and forget it.
Yeah.
And you're stuck with it. You can change things all the time.
What's up, adventurers? If you enjoy this type of content from us, please let us know by liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you want to see more content from us. Also, if there are any topics or questions that you have that you want us to answer in future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Let's get into it.
All right, so we're here with Andy Wheeler, and you've been a van owner for 4 years?
Close to 4 years. At November of 2020, my wife Alex and I came and picked up our van number 1.
Oh, nice. So, in talking about Vandoit, was there a long period of time prior to eventually settling on Vandoit that you were researching vans?
I probably researched vans for 2 years before I found Vandoit and actually pulled the trigger to order it.
And then what about Vandoit made you ultimately choose Vandoit?
I think with all the other van companies and truck campers and things I had looked at, considering my options, once I settled on a van and then once I settled on Vandoit, the big things for me were the modularity of it, how you can adjust everything, the marine grade, as we've talked about, other people have talked about before, no carpet, no particle board, very durable. We do a lot of back road, washboard roads where things are jiggling. So I really like the feel of it, the look of it, the industrial feel and look, and just the durability and not the RV typical
components
products.
can take a little bit of a beating.
Correct.
So
and if something comes loose, you just tighten it back up and it's easy to fix.
Yeah. Before purchasing, did you come visit the facility at all? Did you see a van?
I did not, but I saw a lot of videos and a lot of different followers on Instagram, following different people, I should say, and I felt like I did a pretty good shopping experience. I actually ordered the van, and about 3 months later, I met my now wife. So she wasn't part of the ordering process, but in that waiting period, she sat down with me and we watched every Vandoit video.
Saw a lot of Josh and Alan.
Yes, a lot. And we definitely reconfigured the build sheet a little bit based on now the two of us, and which was really cool.
Yeah.
So we took delivery in March of 2020. I'm sorry, November of 2020. We ordered in March. Ordered it the first week of COVID before things went nuts.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I pulled the trigger when I did. It was only an 8-month wait back then.
Yeah. I think it immediately went to like a year and a half.
Yeah, pretty fast.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was a fun experience for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty unique. Ordering a van, then getting married, and then working your wife into the story where now you're having to pick components together. But thankfully, during that whole process, you're able to kind of pick and choose until, like the chassis.
And we were just engaged, but still,
Yeah.
but we got married afterwards. But yeah, it was a pretty big life change for both of us, it was our both of us first marriage, and
nice.
But it was something we both had a interest in, because if not, I probably would still be single.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So luckily she, again, like interests.
Yeah. What because at the time there was already the live and the do, what made you go with the live ultimately?
For me, my big thing, we live in Park City, Utah. We leave a lot in the winter to mountain bike in warmer climates, or just southern Utah even, and to have the bikes inside, protected from the road grime and weather, and also secure in general. That was a big thing for me. So the live, I liked the garage, the way it was built in. I liked the queen size bed that's adjustable.
Yeah.
We pretty much just set it and forget it because we always were using the garage. But that was the biggest selling point to me, was it felt, I don't know about permanent because it's all modular, but it felt like the style I wanted versus the do and the bunks and whatnot. Yeah. So that was our preference anyway.
Was there a lot of after you got it, like tweaking with the van?
Probably in the first 6 months, we moved the refrigerator and the kitchen pod around, some different things, and got kind of how we really liked it. And once we liked it, we didn't really move it again until for the last time we owned it. So it was it was fun to be able to experiment on one weekend do this way, another weekend try move things around, and we added some drawers that we didn't get originally, and that kind of you can always mix things up. It's not
plug and play.
Yeah, it's not like you design it and forget it.
Yeah, and
you're stuck with it. You can change things all the time.
Yeah. So you're here picking up van number 2, which is a high roof EL move model.
Correct. On a cargo.
On a cargo with the same hydraulic bed. Well, similar, almost the same.
Yeah. Now electric.
Yep.
instead of cranking, and I think it's a king instead of a queen.
Yeah.
So definitely much bigger because of the cargo. There's room for the width and whatnot.
Yeah. What kind of led to opting for van number 2?
There were a lot of things you learn after your first van, and some things I maybe skimped on a little bit. I got AGM batteries, understanding now. I mean, they don't even offer AGM, right?
Yeah.
From Vandoit. So
just on inventory.
So to go up to lithium was a huge thing for me. The indoor shower, same thing. Really, we were really both stoked about the indoor shower, and just the cargo versus the passenger. For us, we don't ever have a passenger. We never use our rear seats in the 3.5 years we had the first van. So to have that ability to have the volume bigger, because you're going to the walls versus all the forward airbags and headliners and stuff. There's just a lot of things, and as long as we were doing, so we could have upgraded our old van, right, and could have put the shower in, could have upgraded the lithium, the suspension. Now we had just a Van Compass lift back in 2020. The Q lift wasn't around yet. We could have done all those things, but as long as we're doing it, let's go back to 0 miles, new van, and the EL to have the extra length. So we're gaining
space.
length, which is bigger, of course, but we're also with that width that feels like just a volume. So I spent last night in the van, and my overall feeling was, wow, it's just, yes, it's longer, but in general, it just feels bigger with the shelves the way they are, and they're more square versus the angle in the old ones. And just a lot of improvements that we just figured let's just do it right and go bigger. We originally thought the drawbridge bed, when we're going to have the shower in the back, but now with the shower up front, and then we don't have to move things, because we, like say, our garage is always full of either blow up paddle boards, mountain bikes, road bike, gravel bike, some kind of toy. It's nice not to have to move all of that. And so instead of the drawbridge, we opted for the electric hydraulic, and that is big. It's nice. It was really comfy last night alone in it. It was nice, getting things set up. And
I'm sure the king size space will be noticeable once your wife is in there with you too.
And with these shelves, you talk about how they're square and up out of the way and tucked in because of the cargo versus the passenger. The shelves before were so low where I was always bumping into them. It felt like, I mean, we got used to it obviously, but it's just, again, someone asked me, a neighbor the other day, am I going to miss the new van or the current van when I was leaving home? I said, no. I mean, I love it, and there's amazing memories, and we've seen the world. It's great, but the new one has so many new features that it's just better, right? There's nothing wrong with the old one. Just love what we've done with the new one.
Yeah. So in purchasing a Vandoit, I think one thing that happens that a lot of people don't expect is you end up with basically a family. There's this Facebook community that's there, like, supporting each other, and they support people that are asking questions they're just discovering Vandoit for the first time.
Right.
Was that something you anticipated?
I wanted a van.
Yeah.
Right? I was going to buy a van and see the country, have fun, and that was all I really expected. I think the relationships that both Alex and I have gained are twofold. It's the other customers, other Vandoits, going to the Voxes. I think I've been to 8 of the 12 or 9 of the 12 total Voxes, which is kind of fun. The first Moab, we went without a van. We went in our tent.
Yeah.
We were a month, 6 weeks before we had our first van. But the friendships and the camaraderie with the like interests and things are really cool. But that also extends to the Vandoit family, meaning the employees. I mean, it's, again, going to the Voxes, but also just, not that we've ever had any big issue, but just little service ticket issues or just different things. There's just a lot of, and planning and ordering too. That took some time to get to know people, but it's really good friends on both sides. It was just really fun.
Yeah, I think in observing the group, I don't participate really in it very much, but I do see stuff. It's always great seeing the innovations that the owners are coming up with themselves, where I think we at Vandoit go, that's a really good idea. We need to be doing some of that stuff.
We had a lot of things in our first van, just little things like trash can, Velcro nets that stick to the headliner on the passenger model that different people had posted about, and we see, and like say, great ideas, and just learning from that. It's really, really fun to learn and then copy that or improve on that another step, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Are there trips outside of the Voxes that you've ended up going on with other Vandoit owners?
I've ran into a couple people here and there just by chance, not really a planned, other than Jeremy McGee. Shout out to Jeremy.
Yeah.
I met him at number 2 Moab Vox, and between number 2 and number 3 Moab Vox, we saw each other, including those two, 6 times in a year. Alex and I went to his house, camped in his driveway. They went camping up in the Temecula area. He came to our house and spent a night or two in the driveway. He and I met in Moab on his way between San Diego and Bentonville, and just hung out and biked for a weekend. And he's, in my opinion, one of the many people who are going to be a lifelong friend, van or not. We both just really fell in love with him the first time we met him. It's really a lot of fun.
He's such a great guy.
Yeah, there's so many people like that in the Vandoit world. In my first experience, Kurt Schuler, I think Jared has talked about this a little bit, but we had a weird kind of meeting before either of us had a van. I was in Michigan seeing now an ex-girlfriend, and would ride by his house once a month for a whole weekend worth, like every day, to cut through the neighborhood to the trails, and he would just always be out kind of saying something. I don't remember what, but somehow I found him on Instagram when he took delivery of the van, and he tracked himself back home, and I'm like, wait a minute, Traverse City. And I saw a picture of the van in the driveway, and I recognized the house, and I reached out, and just, again, Jared's talked about this. It's funny. There wasn't even a van in the driveway. Just weird. Some guy in a chair that I look forward to. I wonder if that guy's going to be there saying something to me about riding by his house. And now we're literally so good friends. Yeah. And we go to Voxes together. And if I'm in Michigan, I'll see him even without the van. If I fly home to see my mother or whatever. So it's, just great people, right? And that's a perfect example of small world and how it brought us together.
Yeah, I think. Another thing that's very cool about the Vandoit community is it's literally every type of van life you can imagine.
Right.
It's couples, it's retired people, it's people with 4 kids that have spent like a year straight in the van. My family wouldn't have been able to do that. We would have fought the whole time. But I think one thing that our community shows is van life isn't just one thing.
Correct.
It's all walks of life. So I think that's a very unique thing to see.
Some people go to campgrounds almost all the time. We rarely go to a campground. I did one last night just because it was here and convenient and close to Vandoit, but we disperse camp. Yeah. I camp in neighborhoods in Southern Cal, just find a spot and pull in real quietly and then leave early in the morning. And we'll go for a weekend. We'll go for a week. I've done 3 trips now. They're a month, 5 weeks, going to Michigan for the Michigan Vox, see some family. My wife will fly in for a week and do the Vox, and then go back home. And so there's even just us, we can do different lengths, right? Evan Morrow lives in his, and that's great.
Yeah.
Again, but we've got too much else going on. We can't do that yet, but I don't know if we would ever do that, but it's fun to get out and do some longer trips. But where we live in Park City, we can be a half hour, an hour, and we're in the mountains, no signal.
Yeah. Away
from everything, beautiful views, and just get away and get some cooler temps and go hang out.
Yeah, you're in one of the outdoor meccas of the world,
right.
I would say. So.
And in the winter, we can drive 4 or 5 hours and be in 60, 70 degree temperatures and come back home and ski the next day or mountain bike over the weekend. So it's fun to explore it even close to home.
Yeah. So are there any tips, pieces of advice you would give for somebody that is maybe on the fence about van life? Not even Vandoit in general, but somebody that's interested in getting a van of some sort and spending a lot of time in it.
I think the best thing is do all the research you can. Take your time. I think any company is willing to talk to you and explore your options. Vandoit, the gurus are really super about tell us what you want. What do you want to use a van for? Are you full-time, part-time, whatever? And they help you learn which van is for you. So the best advice is just, look, do the research. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you see one out and about, I know it's hard. People are always, you stop and get gas, and inevitably someone's always saying, hey, what's in there? And I don't always want to have people in per se, but it's fun to just see the different vans and learn, Instagram or online. Places have some good info as well.
Yeah. Well, unless you have any closing thoughts, I appreciate you being willing to hop on the podcast this week.
Yeah, it's fun to be here. We're so excited with this van number 2, and I didn't even look at another company this time. In my mind, Vandoit is hands down. Like I say, the family part of it's great, but it's just the customer service has been great. Nothing's perfect, but everything's resolved. We don't have to come here. If someone's worried about Kansas City, wherever you live, you don't have to come here. They can send you things that you can fix yourself if you're kind of handy. They have agreements with people all over the country. So if something more serious needs to be done, you can get service locally without having to drive. It's not like you have to drive to Kansas City.
Yeah.
when I need service, if I'm coming through a Bentonville box or something,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just swing by and they leave a week open
Yeah.
for that because there's people doing that, of course. But it's hands down in my mind no other van to buy.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to hear
Yeah,
that.
for
So,
sure.
no, but thank you so much.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah.